My name is Ping Ma. I'm associate professor at School Public Health at Texas A&M University. So I'm the moderator for this session. And so I just would like to introduce myself first a little bit. So my research, I'm a health disparity researcher. So my research focuses on how social determinants and environmental determinants impact the vulnerable population's health. And so it's interesting, I originally from China, but my research not just focus on the Asian American health before, but since COVID happened, so myself, my community, we all witness a lot of the sad thing or tragedies happened in this community and anti-Asian hate. So that's why I become more and more interested in the Asian Americans' health, especially mental health. And we are so fortunate to get some fundings from the national level or state level. And we collaborate with the home clinic and targeting on how we can improve the mental health among the AAPI communities. Specifically, we have a new project targeting on how we can use AI or machine learning to identify the early symptoms of the mental health issues in the AAPI communities and how we can develop an innovative intervention for this to help this community. So this is about me. I'm very honored to welcome you to join this important session of this symposium where we will discuss some critical issues affecting AAPI communities. As your moderator for this session, I'm privileged to guide our discussions on the profound and pricing topics of domestic violence and human trafficking within the AAPI communities. So today we are fortunate to have a distinguished panel of experts who bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the forefront of this conversation. Our speakers, Dr. Jennifer Fisher, Ms. Rachna Kuran, and Ms. Mayam Alding are leaders in their respective fields, dedicating their expertise to addressing and understanding the complexities of these challenges. So I would like to introduce our speakers' background one by one. So Dr. Jennifer Fisher is a physician assistant working in the family practice for over 30 years. She lived in China from 2000 to 2014 and has volunteered for the past 9 years going into Houston Asian in illegal massage parlors, ICA
Elijah Rising?
brothels. Yeah. And she serves on the Commission for the Human Trafficking of the Christian Medical and Dental Association. She gives lectures on human trafficking and the harms of the pornography of the healthcare professionals. And our second speaker, Rachna Kher, is the executive director of DAYA, DAYA, a Houston-based nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower South Asian survivors of domestic and sexual violence with culturally specifically services and to educate the community to end the circle of the abuse. Since 2016, Rachna has spearheaded DAYA's growth, including increases in revenue from $440,000 to $2 million, and the client volume from 250 to 640 survivors. That's a big number. And Rachna serves as a founder of the South Asia Survivors and Organizations and Aliens Raising a board member of the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and on city and state committees that advocate for community protections for underserved survivors of violence. Welcome you. And our last speaker, Mayam Alding, has been actively involved in gender equity and anti-domestic violence advocacy for many years, particularly focusing on addressing linguistic and cultural barriers for individuals from Greater Asia. She joined Asians Against Domestic Abuse, AADA, in 2013, a non-profit organization that contributes significantly to creating a comprehensive support system for families of Asian experience domestic violence here in Houston, Texas. So throughout this session, we aim to shed light on the realities, share insights, and explore potential solutions to combat domestic violence and human trafficking within the AAPI communities. It's my hope that our collective efforts today contribute to a deeper understanding and awarenesses of these issues. So I will stop here, and I will invite our first speaker, Dr. Fisher, to share their valuable insights on the human trafficking issues in AAPI community. Okay, so please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Fisher.
So we were going to advance to my slides here. Yes. A little bit different word than originally, but human trafficking is a global issue, as you already know. And so I'm well aware of what's going on in Houston. Is everyone here from Houston, or are you from other places? Houston. Okay. Well, in that case, we can focus on Houston. Yeah. So it certainly extrapolates to College Station and all the other places where there are people. And the definition of human trafficking is coming up in a minute. And so I'm going to wait 1 second for that to happen.
But I'm so surprised, like you told me like how the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Right, the human trafficking in this area. Yeah.
Showing what should be hidden. Go down to 4. Oh, well, here, I guess I can do that. I don't know why it's showing it. Okay. So this is not us. And here we go. And the definition of human trafficking, the legal definition requires some type of action, which is recruiting or harboring. Come on in. Yep, okay. Or moving or obtaining a person for the purpose of by force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of involuntary servitude, debt bondage, slavery, or sexual exploitation. The victim does not need to be physically transported from one location to another to fall within this definition. Why is it relevant? Texas is number 2 in human trafficking statistics, and 987 cases in 2020, but 10,583 human trafficking cases nationwide. Why are we having human trafficking? Or another word for that is modern day slavery. There's over 2 million people today reported to be a victim of modern day slavery. Some of the reasons are vulnerability. What are the vulnerabilities? Youth, gender, LGBTQ+, poverty, ignorance, social and cultural exclusion, racial disparities, drug abuse, mental health issues, political instability, war, and conflicts. There's also discriminatory social, cultural, and legal frameworks. Ongoing demand. Outdated policies, people concerned with other issues, compassion fatigue. Some doubt the existence of modern day slavery. And economically, it generates more money at less risk than drug trafficking. Why is that? A drug you can sell once, a person you can sell over and over and over again. Eleven. Excellent. These are some of the areas of human trafficking. Sex trafficking gets the majority of the attention, but there's also all these areas that people are trafficked for around the world. So escort services, illicit massage, which is my area of interest. Residential domestic work, for example, in China, a lot of people from the Philippines were trafficked over. Germany, there's people coming from Nigeria. There's populations that are vulnerable around the world that are being trafficked all over the place for different services. We see, of course, the landscaping services, restaurants. I met a man in Asia, the grocery store, which I'm blanking on the name, of course, now. But he had just been here 3 days from China. You know, of course, I only spoke Chinese. I wonder, you know, what people are told when they're being trafficked over here. They're coming here for a good job. They're coming here to be able to send money back home. And then the reality when they get here, of course, is different. So all of these things, areas are where people are trafficked to. So let me hold off on that one for a second and just talk about the areas. Are any of you in healthcare, specifically mental health, mental health? So trafficking, how can you tell if someone's a victim of human trafficking in your area? So a lot of times they will have tattoos that look homemade. In my clinic, I've seen multiple people where they have unusual looking tattoos that clearly look like they're homemade. And so there's lingo for people that are in the life and for people that are being trafficked for sex trafficking purposes. And if you ask them, are you in the life, just like that, no judgment, they will open up and tell you yes, or I'm trying to get out of it, or something like that. I had a patient that was 20. She had been coming to our clinic since she was 16. She was marked as high risk. She had been used since she was a toddler to pay for her mother and her grandmother's drug habits. And now it was 10:30 in the morning. She had on like a halter top and, you know, some leggings, and it was like the weather today where it's freezing cold outside. And when I opened the door to go in to talk to her, alcohol just knocked me down. The whole room reeked of alcohol. And so she told me that she was drinking a bottle of vodka a day just to get through the day. This was a young African-American woman. But I see all demographics, primarily on Bissonnet, which is sort of closed down right now. The people that are working the streets are more African-American, a few Hispanics. But the Asian brothels or illegal massage parlors is between 300 and 400 here in Houston. I called the Houston City Human Trafficking Office. Their statistics on their website are from like 2017. The Vice Department here is funded by a mandatory donation of strip clubs here in Houston. It started as called the Sweet 16, which had protection from the police, and they were donating their money. So now it basically is all the strip clubs in Houston. There's no police investment. The Asian brothels are run by organized crime. Some are probably the triads out of Hong Kong, maybe mafia from China. No police involvement in that either. And so basically it's very depressing. The cantinas are run by the gangs out of Mexico. And so, you know, how do you know if a place is an illegal massage parlor? Usually there's multiple security cameras out front. And you walk in and there's a little lobby. It reminds you of being in China a little bit, but there's an ATM machine in the lobby. The first time I walked into one and there was an ATM machine there, that just like totally broke me. It's like, this is a cash only business. There's an ATM machine in the lobby. And then there's always a second door, and that door may have a doorbell. And so when I go in, I always go in with other people, and we go in carrying gifts, like we'll get gearing out for Chinese New Year. And we'll be going out, and then so I ring the doorbell, and when they open, I just say in Mandarin, you know, are you busy? You know, can we talk? And so I think when you think about you're going to give something instead of take something, that's the key for us in healthcare as well. Always remember that they have no liberties and choices, and whatever choice you can give your patients or your clients is a different paradigm for them. And so just make sure that there's no one there with them controlling the conversation or telling you all the answers to the questions. So make sure that you separate your patient from whoever's there, because there can be females that are the aunties or the mama sons that are controlling the whole thing. So the next area I want to talk about before I finish is for parents, whoever of you are parents here, aunts, neighbors, or anyone that knows young people. There's actually 21 apps that predators use to groom young people. And so kids, because everybody's got a smartphone now, all the phones come with a calculator. But if there's a second calculator on the phone that is used to hide sexting and pictures that they don't want their parents to see. But all of these, and probably this was 2019, there's more now, but be aware that this essentially opens up your child to the whole world. You don't let them play out front by themselves, but yet you give them a smartphone. And predators are smart. They're embedded in games online, and you know, of course, they're pretending like they're a player or a young person, but the reality is they're stalking your child. They're in high school and colleges trying to recruit kids that have all the vulnerabilities we just talked to. The breakdown of the family, where there's not a father presence, and financial difficulties often make young people very vulnerable to trafficking because they're looking for something, and that's what predators capitalize on. Runaways are picked up within 24 to 48 hours. There's people at the Breakout bus station. There's people in the malls. One of the pimps said that they often went to the malls, and if they saw a young girl by herself, they would say, "You're so pretty." And if the girl didn't look up at them and kept going, they knew that wasn't their victim. But if the girl looked up at them, they knew that that was their next victim, because that said something to them, touched something within them. So it's, of course, it's across the board, but Asian Americans, Asians from around the world, Pacific Islanders, we're all vulnerable for trafficking. So I want to turn it over to my colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fisher, for sharing your experience. And so we will just turn it over to our second speaker.
Sure. As the slides come up, thank you so much for that. That was such incredible and scary information. But as we build awareness, I think that really just helps us all make a stronger community. As we shift over, we're going to talk about domestic violence and specifically the mental health impact of domestic violence. So we all kind of think of domestic violence as broken bones and bruises and injuries. And yes, by all means, like that happens. It's extremely prevalent in our community. 1 in 3 women across the world are victims of domestic violence, and that includes in our Asian American communities as well. But the thing we're going to focus on today is the stuff that there's no police intervention for, right? Some of the crimes and the impact on people's souls and their mental health, that perhaps there's no specific crime that's being committed, but that does not mean there's not harm that's happening. So that's what we're focusing on today. You can advance me forward, please. No worries. we worked together yesterday. And yesterday we had, I think I'm just bad luck on technology.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
So DAIA's mission is to empower South Asian survivors of domestic and sexual violence with culturally specific services and to educate our community about this issue. That being said, you know, our niche is the South Asian community. Those are the languages we speak. That's the culture that we are really an expert in. But our services are available for all survivors. Every year, we see about 80% of our clients are South Asian, but the rest are from similar cultures, Middle Eastern, North African, African American communities that may not be getting help in mainstream agencies for other racial barriers. And some of our primary services I've listed up here is our helpline. We provide crisis intervention. And then the second one's gonna be the focus today is the long-term mental health therapy. And then comprehensive help with navigating these systems, right? So when someone is experiencing domestic violence, it's all new to them, housing systems, legal systems, criminal justice systems. So we act as a partner with clients to help them guide them through that system and what their options are, support to rebuild their lives free from abuse. So again, we have many clients that have been with us for 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And that's because they may need additional support to rebuild, especially as immigrants. And then we are frequently doing safety planning, and that is a very important part of our work. It's just about options, right? So it's about the fact that you may not be able to leave that relationship yet. You may not be ready. You may have just recently fled. At each point in that cycle, people need different kinds of safety tips and interventions. Yeah, next. Thanks. So focusing on the mental health part, this whole conference has been so enlightening over the last 2 days about our community, but and where we are when it comes to seeking mental health services. So Asian Americans as a group are 50% less likely than other groups to seek mental health services. Why is that? So there's all the things that we know from being in our community. It's that feeling of like judgment, like you don't want to be seen as quote unquote crazy, especially amongst Asian American males. They fear losing employment if they seek therapy. We know that a lot of times mental health services are linked to insurance provided by your job. So that's a fear. And then of course, we are all living with this model minority myth where the Asian community is supposed to excel. We're supposed to be tight knit. We're not supposed to have any problems. So heaven forbid we go seek some help for some problems. And then on top of that,
I just
Yeah.
add to that, the cultural shame element.
absolutely,
Is part
yes.
of all that.
Yes.
Shame-based community.
Yes,
demographic.
yes, absolutely. And when you're thinking about domestic violence, this just layers upon those stigmas because, again, traditionally in our communities, women are seen as the sort of makers of the home and also the ones keeping the families together. And so there is this stigma of, well, even if you are experiencing harm, you should be keeping your family together. And especially if that harm isn't technically, a broken bone or a bruise, right? Then you're really like, oh, well, that's how marriage is. That's how husbands are. So there's that additional stigma. Thank you. The interesting thing is our culture has many like culturally specific mental health practices, right? We do a lot of meditation. Yoga is something that's very culturally specific to our community. Getting good sleep, maintaining a well-based diet, those types of things, different types of religious practices. And then being very tight-knit within your social system, within your faith group. These are all parts of our culture, which are great things. But then when you want to take it a step further to perhaps seek professional help for a mental health issue, that's where we say, oh, let's draw the line, right? So you can get one more. Some of the types of abuse that work in tandem and cause serious harm. So the thing is, abuse never happens just like in one way. It is so rare that somebody is only experiencing physical abuse. Almost every time they're experiencing all these types of abuse, Emotional and psychological is what I'll talk about here because that's the one that's the most minimized. People always say, oh, well, that's, you know, the ups and downs of marriage, that's conflict, you know, but the fact of the matter is when that psychological and emotional verbal abuse comes with either an explicit or implicit threat of physical harm, sexual harm, loss of life, it's not just a conflict anymore. And when it's rooted in power and control, when the goal of that abuse is to gain power over your partner, that is where it is no longer a marital conflict, and very much it moves from an unhealthy relationship to an abusive one. And these are all the other types of abuse as well. I'll also highlight immigration abuse, because if your immigration status is tied to your spouse, inherently, that is a type of power. 75% of victims who are immigrants have abusers that never filed the proper paperwork for them. This leaves them undocumented. We have laws like SB4 out that say, hey, we can ask for your immigration status at any time now. If you have US born children and you are undocumented, the threat of deportation is very real and it's very, very terrifying. Domestic violence causes survivors to experience so many types of mental health disorders. The top three are anxiety disorder, PTSD, and major depressive disorder. So, and then look closely after that, suicidal behaviors. These are what are killing women and victims in our community right now. And without the proper intervention, and without the community saying, it is okay to seek professional help. We have these wonderful parts of our culture that we take care of each other, but sometimes we do need that outside intervention. Some of the mental health treatment options, because I know, right, like some people, especially in our community, talk therapy is uncomfortable. We're not used to like spilling our guts to a therapist, but we have alternative therapies. There's Reiki, there's mind-body therapy, which is very helpful for people who have experienced sexual assault and who are trying to find their connection to their body again. Neurofeedback therapy and EMDR, which is that fourth one up there, are types of PTSD therapy that are used with the military, that are used for people with brain trauma, and they can also be used for people who experience domestic violence. Group therapy, it's so important to build that community. Many survivors lose their friends and family when they seek help because of the stigma. And so group therapy can help people rebuild. And then of course, prescription medication, when we're talking about severe depression, severe anxiety, severe PTSD, the way that we in our community need to watch our blood sugar and treat diabetes is the same way we need to look at some of these mental health issues. And then just as I end and pass on to Miriam, I want you all to think of a time that you experienced struggles with your mental health. And this is an internal reflection, of course, and what you did about it at that time and what you wish you could have done differently, what might have been more helpful. And when you think about the isolation that a victim is in, because a victim's partner has isolated her, removed all of her support systems in most cases. And most people go to the people that they love when they're experiencing mental health issues. And if you didn't have that group of support anymore, what would you do?
Thank you.
This QR code will link you to a toolkit that can give you best practices on how to help survivors. We're going to email it out too. And I will pass along to Miriam to talk about some of the very big barriers that folks in our community face when it comes to language and culture in mental health care.
Thank you, Rashina, for your presentation. Yeah, so I know like our audience, you may have a lot of questions, but we can just save all your questions and we can just finish our presentation first, and then we will have the FAQ question session. So you can save your question later and we can discuss about each topic. Okay, great. So yes, so Miriam, and it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you everyone for this opportunity.
Actually, like, personally, I'm very surprised, like, within 1 week, just since last week until today, I just heard in Chinese community, we heard like two domestic violence happened. It is just a shock, the whole Chinese community in
Yes.
the US. One happened last week, just like two couples, and because the husband just had the gunshot for the wife first and then suicide. And they come from the same hometown as me, as mine.
Wow.
That's why, oh my God. So it just shocked me.
Yes.
And this week it happened another couple in California, and two people that are young, they don't have kid yet, and they work in Google.
Yes.
And they graduated the number one university in China. And when they come to you, so they are definitely they are higher income, like
That's such
yeah,
a good point,
that-
because people
Doesn't
think,
matter.
Yeah, and
people think if you're educated, it won't happen.
yeah.
If you have money, it won't happen. That's
Yes,
absolutely
they
not
are definitely high socioeconomic status, and the husband just not the gunshot, just like a beat. Hit, like, and the wife right now, based on the news yesterday, the wife already died. And the husband now is already faced the serious like the charge. And before we thought it's just like two people because of the laid off from the Google, because recently Google just have the laid off like the news, but actually it's not. It's just only just between the relationship, and
That's right.
they don't have a gunshot. They just beat and hit
And
that.
almost every mass shooting has some links to domestic violence. The person has either been convicted of domestic violence or has a history of domestic violence. So this also begs the need for mental health care for abusers as well.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yes, agree. Is that right? Okay, great. Okay, so Marianne. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Magic fingers.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, so who we are. The goal of ADA is to empower women who trace their heritage to Greater Asia. To this purpose, ADA believes violence is a barrier and an important factor in the disempowerment of women. Asians are incredibly diverse. It's a very, very big continent, and oftenly parts of Asia are overlooked as being Asian. So with ADA, we decided to loosely divide Asia into main regions. So we have the Pacific Islander, East Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Central Asia, combined with West Asia, which is currently referred to as the Middle East. Our culture is different yet similar. Understanding both the differences and similarities among Asian culture is crucial for developing effective interventions and support systems for individuals facing domestic violence. Tailoring advocacy efforts to the specific cultural context and needs of each community is essential for promoting positive change. So as you can see here, there are differences when it comes to Asian culture, religion, language, culture norms and values, and economic factors, but there's so much similarities that, combine us together. The biggest one is the silence and the stigma of mental health and domestic violence, preservation of family honor, economic dependency, because usually women are perceived to be the caretakers of the family. They don't venture out in their education. They don't seek employment. They are pushed to sacrifice that part of their lives to keep the family together and to raise the children. And also, we're very tight-knit communities, collective family structures. Some Asian families live in the same household, multi-generation. And that causes so much pressure, and it makes it very difficult to get out of an abusive situation. Underserved populations. The majority of refugees and asylum seekers in the United States are immigrants from West Asia and Central Asia. These people have been through so much trauma And they are susceptible to sexual assault, famine, and displacement. And that puts them at a very vulnerable position that could increases their chances of domestic violence. Barriers faced by Asian women. Asian victims face unique barriers when seeking help and navigating mainstream system. All of Asians have a distrust with law enforcement, and that's usually stemmed from their home countries. They also experience a lot of in-law abuse and lack of family support due to the distance. You know, their families are still back home. They feel isolated, and also the cultural taboo. You know, speaking out, sharing to your neighbors, sharing to your family. You don't want to get that shame and stigma on your family. You're trying to protect your family. You want to present your husband at the best image. And as Rachna mentioned earlier, the immigration status, that is the main tool that an abuser will use against the spouse. These challenges compound an already complex system for victims who need safety and recovery. Okay. This is the percentage. Like I explained earlier, we have Asia divided into regions, and these are the percentages of the clients that we served from each region in 2024. You see, the majority of our clients are from East Asia, and if you look at North Africa and West Asia comes next, if you combine the numbers. We have various programs to help our clients. We aim to provide our victims with holistic services that will help and guide them to rebuild their lives independently through our resources, advocacy, safety planning, and outreach. Okay, intrafamilial violence. This affects Asian populations drastically, and that's because of the tight-knit communities. There are different types of the violence when it's child abuse, elder abuse, in-law abuse, sibling abuse, and sometimes abuse from extended family, such as uncles, cousins.
In-laws.
In-laws is separate.
Yeah.
In-laws is, yeah. The forms generational abuse, of course, sexual, cultural, or honor-based. And the honor-based, it could be related with the extended family and the in-law. Because protecting a family's honor is so important, especially in the West and Central Asian communities. And then financial abuse, collectivism, and individualism versus individualism. Our cultures are more collective cultures than individualistic cultures. So protecting the family and the family image is so important that women or victims of violence will put that as a priority than their own safety. And that will stop them from seeking help. Language barriers. So difference also between language and culture barriers. It's very important because when it comes to language barriers, it is very important that accessibility to interpreters and language access lines. But again, you have to understand that that's not enough because most of these people are over the phone, right? They dial through a phone line and you don't know who's going to answer. Like, is that person trained that's going to be doing the interpretation? Is it a male or a female? Is she going to feel comfortable sharing being sexually assaulted to a male interpreter over the phone, that connection, you can't expect a client that has been for so many years been controlled, been afraid of shame and honor to share such intimate details. So that's a very big challenge. So not only language, the service providers have to understand the culture and where they're coming from and what are their fears. And this is the difference between the cultural barrier and the language barrier. Mental health and domestic violence. I'll quickly brush over that since Rachna spoke a lot about it, but immigrant populations may experience stress related to the interplay between traditional cultural values and the influence of the host culture can impact mental well-being. And this is, we find that a lot with our immigrant and refugee coming here. They expect the American dream, and then they're faced with the reality. It hits them. It causes a lot of stressors and triggers, and not having the tools to manage and learning coping mechanisms, puts the family at a high risk of domestic violence and abuse. The stigma associated with both mental health and domestic abuse concerns may be approached with consideration for their impact on the family unit and reputation, and that can potentially influence help-seeking behaviors. With ADA, with our work, we've developed an AWARE program. It's a holistic approach. It's led by Cindy Kish. She has extensive education in mental health. She's trying to find holistic approaches to help our clients recover from the trauma that they've experienced over the years of abuse, whether it was intergenerational trauma or trauma that through the process of the separation and just leaving the marriage, it causes so much trauma because they're faced with so many obstacles and barriers that they have to overcome. So we do that work with the assistance of both linguistically and culturally competent professionals. We're able to provide individual and group therapy, support groups, and life coaching sessions, which is unconventional. And we try to do that because it makes it easier for our clients. They feel more safe in that setting than just being with a therapist. And we're getting really good results from it. And we don't want to forget the children. Domestic violence does not only affect adults, but also has a profound impact on children's mental health. The intergeneration transmission of trauma can be significant and a big concern. Through our Asian Game Club, we try to break the cycle of trauma by fostering a safe place for children to heal, and most importantly, reconcile with their Asian heritage and identity. We don't want them to hate their Asian heritage or Asian background and blame it for their circumstances, because there's positive in our cultures that we would like to, help the children not lose. We also allow them to express feelings and develop a safe space for mothers and children to bond, because also children sometimes end up blaming the mothers because they left the abusive households. They had to move to a shelter. They had to restart their lives. And especially if they were living in a certain economic standard, they have to change their economic standard and they have to go to different schools. So, and they're constantly hearing from their father that their mother, is the bad guy. So we've noticed so much tension and stressors between the mothers and the children. So our work is basically to provide, art classes for them, therapy sessions. We had like origami classes. We've had field trips just to heal and help them rebond. And also, of course, children also want to just have fun. So if you mask it with fun, they'll love it. So it's not really a game club. It's masked as a game club, but it's a healing space. Impact on mental health. Empowering survivors to speak out, providing information about mental health and advocating for culturally sensitive services are essential steps toward addressing mental health concerns in the context of domestic violence. Building community support networks and fostering awareness about mental health is crucial. Culturally sensitive services and intervention can help break the isolation that individuals may experience. So with mental health, you've got all these conditions that can come as a consequences of abuse. But then we've got a community that values traditional practices. So by incorporating modern practices with their traditional Asian practices, you can reach them better. You can connect with them better, like yoga, meditation, like Rachna mentioned earlier, but also helping them identify the importance of medication, seeing a psychologist, seeing a psychiatrist, all together will help them achieve better results in their healing. And the whole goal is to really break the cycle of trauma and multi-generational trauma. We don't want children to be victims or become abusers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for three presenters, wonderful presentation. And definitely this is like not only just, this is just also give us not only just increase our awarenesses, but also I think this is serves as a education session as well. So now we can open just our Q&A session. So everyone, do you have any questions for our speakers?
Yeah, I have a question for Marian. So I saw percentage of Middle Eastern and North African clients, let's say. But how you were advertising your services to the community?
Oh, we have the best way to advertise our services we've experienced is having advocates from the community. So because we're serving Greater Asia, right? It's difficult. If I walk in to a Chinese church, I wouldn't get the same,
Rapport building.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So having an advocate from the region, and our positions are tailored. An advocate works 50% in working directly with the client and case management, and the other 50 is outreach. So by doing that, the advocate becomes a known member in her community. She posts stuff on social media, on Facebook, goes to mosques, goes to community centers, and advertise the work that she does. So far, we have a really good representation. We have an advocate that is the Cantonese and grew up in Vietnam, so she helps with that population. For the Middle East, we have a lot of advocates from the Middle East. We have Lebanese, we have Iraqi, and we have me, I'm Egyptian, and we have Turkish. We have 2 Turkish advocates, and we have Kazakh, and we have Farsi, representing Iran and Afghanistan. So that's how we connect to the community. Oh, Japanese, we have 3 Japanese advocates. So we have a very high percentage of Japanese clients.
From my perspective as like an outreach, because you can see me everywhere. Literally everywhere. I think you need more efforts for the Arabic community. Not saying that, you know, like your advocates are not doing their jobs, but I think, you know, like, they need to be more visible to the community.
Mhm.
I would love to help you with that, through the media, the Arabic media. I can connect you with that and, you know, also in like other Arabic, associations, like the Iraqi,
Yeah, we are connected with the Iraqi community. We
I
are.
never saw you there.
I don't go necessarily, but some of our advocates do.
I know, but.
Yeah, and some
And I think the
outside.
other way
Yeah.
we do outreach too is through law enforcement
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the legal
Yeah.
system too. I know
Yeah.
for us, we get a lot of
Mhm.
referrals from, like, if a South Asian woman calls the police, many times, even if the police can't do anything, they'll say, but here's the phone number. So I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
also a thing that I'm
Actually,
trying to increase this year.
Yeah, actually, the highest number of our clients from the Middle East population are Iraqi women, unfortunately.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
so they do find us, yeah, somehow.
I know.
They do.
That's why
It is, there's a lot of violence, there's also the trauma, the trauma that they've experienced, the displacements, the war, causes a lot of domestic violence. Integrating into the American culture, also thinking they're coming here and they're gonna be living the American dream. And the reality of the situation is these people have medical degrees from their country, but here they have to go work at a grocery store or work as a truck driver. Like, it's such a big shock for them, and that causes so much tension.
And I
in
think
households.
too, like Islamophobia,
Yeah.
and then since COVID, the anti-Asian sentiment,
Mhm.
it's making people, it's harder for people to seek services at mainstream agencies. Cause they're like, oh, that's not for me,
Yeah.
you know, that gets.
And then also
Like
the
that.
recognizing like what kind of abuse, like what is abuse? What is abuse also like, because in our communities, women are taught that abusive behavior is normal,
Right.
right? Whether it's cultural or religious, under,
Mhm.
you know, under the guidance of these, which is not true, right? We have to educate them, and it's a process. And also another thing, you know, for a woman to leave an abusive relationship, she has to give up on a lot of things, on her house,
Yeah.
on her, you know, on her social status, on her income. Some of these women
Immigration,
never
yeah.
worked.
Well, and then the
Okay.
scariest part, people always say, well, why doesn't she just leave? That's when the abuse escalates. If you pay attention in the news, as you see these homicides, you will almost always see she had just fled or she was in the process of fleeing.
Yeah,
And
and that's
that
what,
the abusers say, oh, I'm losing
Yeah.
control over my
Yeah.
life. Yes,
Yeah.
ultimate control.
that is,
Yeah.
yes, that is the killing part. But let's talk about the legal battle.
Yeah.
I have money. I'm gonna take you to court.
Yes.
I'm gonna fight for the kids because I know that's what you live for. Like, you know, because, you know, Middle Eastern Asian women, their kids are the most important thing in
Of course.
for them. So I'm gonna take your kids from you.
Mm,
Yeah.
Okay, and she doesn't have money. She
Right.
doesn't have support. Attorneys are not gonna work for free.
No, no.
Family attorneys are not gonna work for free. Like, that's how they
Especially
make
these-
a living,
Especially
right?
these really complicated cases.
Cases that can
Mhm.
drag on for years and years and years. And they will use,
Not only the kids, they go, and then, they ruin their reputation.
That's right.
In front of the court, that she cheated, that she did this.
oh, yeah. Of course, yeah.
The story.
Yeah, that she's a bad mother, she doesn't clean, and
Mhm.
you know, the court does not even look at these things, but in their minds, they think this is like important, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna take a picture of her car, there's chips all over the floor, the judge is gonna laugh on
They
that.
don't care.
Right, they don't care,
Sure.
but in the abuser's mind, oh no, like I can, you know, she's not a good, clean mother.
And then
Really?
with the emotional abuse, that abuser has been telling her that
Yes.
over and over and over again.
And if the kids do any mistake, it's her
It's her
fault,
fault.
it's not his. He has nothing to do with that.
The divorce cases are so messy.
It's so messy, and unfortunately, you know, the only victim is the woman because she has to, you know,
Start from
show up at court, find an attorney, start working a minimum wage job, not have a car, she got stripped of, and some of these abusers are very manipulative, so they make sure to write the house in his mom's name,
That's right.
to hide the assets. So, yeah, she doesn't get anything when she walks out.
Or, like I have, like, a lady that she cannot read English.
Yeah.
And he made her like sign on papers.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes,
And-
yes, that's yeah.
And open credit cards
Cards
in her name, the worst stuff.
Actually,
Yeah.
that she discovered that she signed on, giving away her rights, with all the, assets that he
And
had.
children,
The children.
yes,
Then he took the children.
yes.
Completely.
And the reason you sign is
This is- yeah.
because it feels like it's that cloak of like the threat of violence, the threat of harm.
Or not even that, the trusting. Like,
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
as simple as trusting him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not gonna do that to me.
My husband, how can I?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
But know that all survivors